Welcome back to What No One Told Us. In today's episode, Lloyd and Diego talk about what success really means, especially when you reach your 40s and realize that maybe the job, the house, and the status aren't actually what matters most. This is an honest and personal conversation about money, identity, starting over, and finding meaning again. Let's dive in.
Diego, how you doing?
Good Lloyd, how are you? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Welcome back to New Zealand.
New Zealand, Aotearoa.
How is it being back on this side of the world?
Yeah, good. It's always beautiful to hear the little birds and the Maori chanting going through the arch at the airport. Mm, and and knowing a little bit what's going to happen in the next few days because you know your land, you know what's happening here.
That's right. A bit of stability, a bit of certainty.
Yeah, and space, yeah, because I found where I was, big crowded cities with a lot of movement, a lot of people around, a lot of things happening.
Yeah.
And I used to live in cities like that, but now I I got used to beautiful Aotearoa, New Zealand. So it's yeah, it's a bit of um I'm a bit spoiled here. I feel that we are all very spoiled on space and nature and
Yeah, we are. We take it for granted, maybe too, right? Sometimes, and maybe it takes a trip overseas to be reminded of just how much space we have here in New Zealand.
yes, and I used to dream when I lived in Buenos Aires about Europe and those cities in Europe, but for some reason now I like those cities. I love what I see, but
Hmm.
nice to have a ticket back home in the backpack, all right? I know that I'm not gonna be there forever. And so yeah, that was a little bit my I had a great time. I saw my friends and I had a few amazing experiences and but also I knew that I had a ticket back home. So that was that was great. And the feeling that coming home is a beautiful thing is another beautiful feeling because for a long time of my life was going on holidays and the last bit of the holidays was, oh no, I need to go back home and I didn't like that.
And no one does.
But now I like it. I like that look, my holidays are off, but I'm look where I live.
Yeah. And what were you coming home to, my friend? What was exciting for you? What's new? What's happening in your life? Something new, something positive.
Oh wow, there's a lot of happening. One of the things that I didn't tell you is that on my second to last day in Madrid, I was approached by I'm on a like sort of model agency for old people. No, it's not old. Mature people. And I got a call. I was about to fall asleep at 12, and I said, like, would you send like a little self-tape? And yeah, so I'm sleeping. Oh, what we need in the next hour. So I got up, got in front of the mirror, do that, and then I improvised a tripod with some vacuum cleaner thing and put my phone and say a couple of things, and I got the job. And so this week I'm participating in a commercial which actually will finance out of my trip, which is like whoa, out of nowhere, like beautiful. And these are the news. But also, I decided to come back to the workforce, and I started to have like a recruitment process a few months ago, and now I'm on the stage of signing a contract. But it's not for me like a very standard job. It's something that I had to process a lot, and actually I created it at some point. So now that is happening, I'm responsible of my own creation. So I'm signing a contract this week to be a flight attendant for New Zealand. So it's a big sort of big unknown, I guess.
Yeah. Congratulations.
I know, but I don't know. Yeah.
Mm. You mentioned the word creation. What's that
Mhm.
about? So the job is a creation. Tell me more about
Oh, I sat down last year. At some point, I was thinking, oh well, I'm doing very beautiful things with my life, but at some point, I would like to get hold on some money. And the things that I'm doing at the moment are not very profitable. Um, apart from the commercial, but I can't rely on that because it's not a steady income.
it.
So I dropped into, my myself and what, and my intuition and all of that and what I like. And I came out with the idea that I want to be in somewhere operational, then frontline. I want to use my body as as um, as my in my job. I want to be self-expressed and I want to be helping people. I want to be at service. So at that time, I came up with three things. One, some things that were quite familiar. One is that not familiar, but in industries that I had some experience as well, but new jobs. For example, I applied to be a train driver, and then I applied for Air New Zealand, and I also found out how to set up my car to be a Uber driver. So all of those three jobs were like sort of aligned to what I was. But obviously, none of those jobs are like very profitable, and also were very disruptive from my successful career that I might just had in the past, and obviously how on the standards and looking good and looking as a successful middle-aged man,
Mm,
which and all of that are constructions, but I think we all know what I'm talking about.
mm,
What's the reputation of a Uber driver at 55 or a
right.
train doctor at 55 or a flight attendant at 55?
Yeah.
Um, and I don't, with most respects of everybody that does that job and including myself. So I decided to give it a go because those jobs align to what I want to do. So why not? And here I am.
Awesome. Amazing. So just a couple of things that I touched on there. Like your interpretation of success was a little different a while ago than it is now.
Well, I think that sometimes being behind a computer or behind a report or behind it's quite protective as well of who you are
Mm,
and and so you can hide more. Also, those jobs sometimes are very well paid because you know a little bit of softwares and you know how to you're dealing with money, potential savings and things like that. So they're well paid. It's more probably intellectual, but I'm not very sure about that. And also,
What was your role specifically, Diego?
oh, no, no, I ended up being. It's not like an amazing job either, but it was like a workforce planning manager for New Zealand for a few years,
Yeah.
and then I got a job as an operation sort of manager in the software company, and then my last role was like operations readiness and workforce planning for a train company,
Hmm, hmm.
the company that runs the trains in Auckland. So so there was a little corporate and also strategical and a lot of finance
Yeah.
like budgeting and all of that involved. So it wasn't an amazing, a successful career, but I mean, what I had like a reasonable good income, and also I was caught in paying mortgages and running a family, and also to to mitigate the effort of that job. My lifestyle was very different. I was probably going out for dinner more often, or going, I was spending money at the pub, or needing holidays, or needing this, or needing to upgrade my car to feel a bit better. So my expenses were a bit more, like sort of so even though it's more money, I was also spending more money. So maybe the equation is not that different now because I'm now spending far less money.
Did you consider yourself successful then?
No, I wasn't. I never consider myself successful because, well, I don't understand much that word. I will probably relate it more now with inner peace and happiness, the success more than. But at that time, I felt like I fit it in. I was like, when you go on a social environment, you say what you're doing. Okay, okay, everybody understands you. Okay, cool, cool. Or tick. Uh, uh, and yeah, I can talk about having a house. I can talk about a small mortgage. I could talk about the car that is in the market, and I could all those very meaningful conversations.
What was it like to break the mold and leave that life to pursue another life?
Hmm. I had an analogy, but don't know if it is a very happy or successful analogy, but I feel like I'm coming out of the closet, not sexually because I'm heterosexual and I'm not gay. I would have been gay if I had to, but I felt like I came out of the closet in terms of breaking some rules and following my own heart and following things that light me up more than others. All right.
Mm.
Obviously, work is work. So in this case, what I've chosen is like what are the things that I could do to have income at the moment that straight away with what I like, right?
Mhm.
That's the reasoning. And yeah, so
How difficult is it at times to, sorry for all the questions, but I guess I'm curious. I can relate to a lot of this from my
yeah,
own.
yeah. I'm gonna ask you the same questions because you have something else to say as yeah, I
Yeah,
guess.
well, I do. I know, like for me, leaving my business and selling my, I had a cafe business for 7 years, successful cafe business here in Tauranga, and uh, around 2020, I started to wonder what else, and it was a bit of a process for me to connect with that sense of something else. But there was a lot of pressure as well that I had to maintain this lifestyle that I'd sort of created, or this identity around me as a successful business owner, and then all the trappings that go with that, having money to do family holidays and to, basically not go without, and not really have to sacrifice, live above the average means. Yeah. So I guess when I ask you that question about how was that for you to disconnect from that and then chase your, not chase, but follow your heart, I found myself in that situation, like, uh, what does it look like? What does it feel like to let go of this? And how's that going to be interpreted in my relationships with others? And it was a difficult process, because I feel like we as men, and we have a certain role to play, right? Society sort of puts us there as the breadwinners, and we need to bring money in, and we need to climb the ladder, right, and get ahead. And um, I guess at some point I just decided that wasn't really fulfilling me anymore, and I wanted to pursue other things, but it came with a sacrifice. Can you relate to that a little bit?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I know, yeah, I 100% know what you mean.
Mm.
And yeah, it's had the same thing. I just wanted to be help people. So I'm also running a little bit of a a coaching service, and then I'm managing a rock band, and I'm participating in the creation of a theater piece. I'm also a part-time commercial model, and then I'm also investing a little bit of money. But all of that are like, things that are not profitable, and so there is some need of complementing that with, some income. Was lucky enough to have a little bit of income when I sold my house, a little bit of money when I sold my house, but I had to make the decision of selling the house and not owning the house anymore. So all those compromises, but they were all directed to what you said, to follow our heart and to be more alive, I guess. Is that how you feel, a little bit more alive?
Yeah, I mean, there are times, like from week to week where we're just getting by, financially. So it does feel like, staying alive a little bit sometimes, especially when the bills come in. But the reality is that I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I know it sounds like, oh, you're kind of sugarcoating it, but it's not. It's I think the thing that really helps me, and this often is something that crops up for me every day, as when I'm questioning whether I've taken the right path, I just come back to this thing that I read recently in a book from John C. Maxwell about three things that successful people do, and he talks a bit about success is actually more about the pursuit of your purpose and pursuit of your passion, um, rather than the destination, rather than the outcome. And that just makes me realize that I'm on the journey now, and I'm already successful because I've decided to follow what's more in my heart. And that does feel like more alive, I have to say, I think it outweighs all the other moments of doubt and insecurity and uncertainty. And, when I feel like I might be being judged or, and, that happens to me more often than not, like, I'm now working in my business most days to my new business as a coach, which I love. I'm super passionate about. That makes me feel alive. I feel like I'm in the right place, but then I have to go back, and I'm now working at the Curry Club in Tauranga Airport, waiting tables, clearing dishes, and I'm on basically minimum wage. And in those moments when I'm doing those jobs and I have that moment of like I might see someone in the lounge that I know that knows me from my previous life as a business owner, and that I like think to myself, oh, imagine they must be thinking about me. Like, what happened to this guy? You know, he's gone from having a successful business, now he's waiting tables in the Choreo Club. But it's just all noise, at the end of the day. I just have to check myself and realize. Yeah, it's probably a valid feeling that I'm feeling, and what's really important for me now is just to know that when I leave this place and I put down the dishes and I've worked hard and I'm be proud of that, I know that I can go home and I can do the stuff that's really important and that really it matters and makes me feel alive. And that's coaching, that's having connections, that's having conversations like this with other men in the pursuit of this overarching vision, to make a difference in the lives of others and also make a difference in mine. The old me, when I look back, was a little dissatisfied, disillusioned, and a bit unfulfilled with that sure, safe bet, which is, the 9 to 5, the decent salary, uh, the trappings of modern life and everything that comes with it when you have status, I guess, or you're somebody. It's not that I'm nobody now, but I feel like I'm somebody. I feel like I'm the true me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's beautiful. I want to say that when I found out, I didn't know that you were doing what you were doing in the Coral Lounge, and I knew at some point, but when I was already applying for New Zealand for the flight attendant, and then suddenly I found that we were doing this podcast while we were also in the front line under the Air New Zealand brand, and we will be in the front. I will be in the front line, and you are in the front line already under the Air New Zealand brand, on jobs that are completely service oriented and challenging for you said for your for the status and for who you thought you were and that you're doing that. And I'm turning that around. I'm extremely proud of serving coffee, of being able to serve coffee and tea for people flying, and you cleaning the table or serving food for the people that are traveling, or it could be any people. And I think that we all should be doing that in a way, and because it's real, like it's humbling. I mean, I'm not telling that we need to do that. What I'm saying, being at service is, in my point of view, is something that comes out as a very rewarding, rewarding job. Of not sure about salaries and things like that. That's a different story, but it is rewarding to be with other humans and to relate to other humans and help them or service them. I think it's super cool. That's how I feel. That's why I apply for this job,
Mhm.
and it's probably why you're doing that as well. It's like it's humbling, and we are part of a community, and that's our contribution.
Mm. Yeah.
And there's no judgment for that.
Yeah, there doesn't need to be judgment, and I guess that's where the noise comes in, right? Because most of it's just manufactured in my own head. The reality is that I don't really know what others think of me, and it probably doesn't really matter that much. What really matters is that you know, I have found something that I feel gives me purpose, and I can be safe and secure in the knowledge that I'm working towards that day by day, and that and to bring this back to the book that I'm reading at the moment with John C. Maxwell, it was interesting because the book is called Three Things That Successful People Do, and I thought that was really interesting because I'm like, really, only three? And when I think about successful people in the world, like people that have really made a difference to in their life and maybe benefited others. Um, I think there must be 10 or 20 things that they could sit down and put on paper as successful attributes. But John, in his book, narrows it down to three. And the first one is knowing, is connecting with your purpose. And the second one is making every day kind of a journey in getting closer to that and realizing your potential. And this, sense of pressure that I think is there or was there for me before I read this book, that I needed to have arrived at success. I've taken a gamble, and I've left an old life and in pursuit of a new life, and I've had to take a pay cut, and I've had to make a lot of sacrifices along the way, but I'm aligned to my purpose. I don't have to get there straight away. It's more about the journey than it is the destination. I really like that, because I actually think it was Steve Jobs that said something, and Steve Jobs is a good example of someone, I guess, that's made an impact on the world. Founder of Apple, started making all those computers back in the day. He was a college dropout, And he dropped out of college, probably to the disgust of his parents and everyone around him. And he pursued this dream that he had and this purpose. And one of his famous quotes is, the journey is the reward, or something along those lines, and not so much the success. And how do we define success anyway? Can we actually take a moment to challenge that and put that into perspective? What was your understanding of success 10 years ago compared to what it looks like now?
Yeah. I have no clarity of success 10 years ago. I have no idea. Um, it was sort of a made up concept, like, and it's something that I saw. Well, success. I didn't believe in success. Even when I see successful people, I said, well, what is what is that person succeeding in? It's like, on how, or he has money, or he looks happy, or I will look for success on things that I'm seeing in others, that or I'm lacking, or I want to have, or I feel that I have to have. It's hard to assess success in other people because it's all an illusion, right? You don't know. You have no idea what other people are doing. And for me, the success obviously was the health of my children. That was always very present. The health of my children and my health, and at that time the health of the whole family. All right, that was a success.
Mhm.
Also, the success was that I was living in a place that I really love, and so I felt in connection with the place I live. Then in the personal success, well, I always struggle on the success on the working life or success. I struggle to find a meaning there, and these days, and what I find as a success is the the inner peace, the peace of mind, the
Mhm.
sense of happiness. That I totally agree on that being a daily journey and a daily job. There is no destination. It's all the process.
Mhm.
So for me, I finally found myself successful because most of the time I'm living what I what I choose to live, and regardless of how it looks like in my accountant books, or or in the on my financial statements, or don't know, or on the number of friends I have, or I had. It's not that. It's or the car I drive, or or where I live. Success now is a very profound word because it goes deep into how I feel
Mm.
every day, and how I'm taking responsibility of my life, which is, it could be cleaning a toilet, and it could be serving a coffee or cleaning a table, or also could be helping someone in the coaching thing, or it could be on this conversation, or it could be um, hugging a good friend of yours, or having your kids, or the person you love. So there's a slightly different meaning of success
Mhm.
from the past.
And being a daily thing, like a daily thing that you're working through as well. Can we say, like, uh, do you have days where you wonder, like me, that is this the best decision, or like self-doubt? Or you mentioned to me earlier in the conversation, you were traveling back from Spain and you were on the airplane and you're about to now be on an airplane in a capacity as an air steward, having gone from more of a corporate role, can we say a higher position in terms of society's classification of higher position? and were you wondering at that point, like, oh, how's this going to be? And was it a bit tense? What were you feeling there? Like,
Oh, there's a lot of the brain does the job and says, "Are you gonna be doing that? Oh, how you feel about?" And also, I had those things. Oh, I might be bumping into people I know and from the past, and I'm ready to service everyone with a big smile and whatever they think. Or I'm not sure. Hopefully, they get a good service. That's all I'm thinking. And definitely also um, all of those considerations are very, very egocentric thoughts. And on the way I look, again, related to how success looks in your conditioning, how um, don't know who's judging you, but or who are responding to, and you probably the brain goes to those people and say, "Oh, if they see me doing this, what are they going to think about me?" But it's all an illusion, right? And imagine, I imagine myself when I was that. I imagine myself enjoying my day, and probably said it probably is also not going to happen. But my idea is that hopefully every day I can turn up on a plane with happy with where I am and doing and enjoying giving that the service, and then making connections on or helping someone to have a little bit of a better moment on board of commuting or going on holidays or whatever it is. And then that will be my job, and then I will go home and I do my own stuff as well. So that's how I see it. And when I deleted all my inner chatter, all right, and yeah, and that's what I could see on some of those flight attendants that I saw on board, and yeah, and it gave me joy. Same thing as when I was driving an Uber, that I'm still able to drive an Uber, and I was there driving people, and some of the experiences were amazing. Some others were like I was driving people. That's it.
what might you say to somebody, maybe another man who's considering or in a situation of, wanting to find something else or pursue an interest and maybe a lifelong personal passion, but is currently in a role and an identity in a job and a well-paying job maybe, or just a safe 9 to 5, and you know, what's they might be having some difficult thoughts around that, and but yeah, what would your advice be to that person?
I would like to have your answer as well. I will give you one, but I said, and see if I can articulate it well. But as long as you have food on your table and a place to sleep, we are all fortunate, all right? And we are all like so. From them on, there is no reason why you shouldn't do what you think you love doing or follow your purpose or follow your dreams. The rest is an illusion, and I found myself pursuing an illusion that never exists and following other people's or feeling that I need to follow other people's paths, or and that doesn't exist either, because those paths do not exist. They are all created by our own minds. So create your own path, because you know that you will eat and you will be dry and warm at night. The rest, the rest is an the rest is excess, is like noise.
Mm,
That's my that's that's what I come out with.
mm.
And the,
Yeah, well, is it possible that man can pursue his interests, his passions, or his real purpose for his life without giving up his day job, without
I don't
giving up
know.
the lifestyle that, because
Just to figure that out, Lloyd, for example, I had the chance to have a house, but I had a house and I sold my house and I started spending money of that house for, in my books. It took a long time to make that decision because for me, it's this almost stealing the future of my kids. Or
Mhm.
you already have a house in Oakland, you're selling it. What are you thinking about?
Mm,
Took me a long time to actually process that, and my brain wasn't very happy on all of that.
mm,
Mm, that was my little sacrifice, on which I'm very grateful because I even had a house. All right, but what I'm saying is that as long as you can eat and have a place to sleep, and and health as well, no, the rest. Why don't you do what and it's hard to it's easy to say it, all right, but also the exploration of what you really need or what you really want is another journey, right? Sometimes we don't know what we want.
mm.
Sometimes we don't know our purpose, and we sort of I agreed on whatever is easy for us or whatever experience we have, or yeah, and we accept and we keep accepting, and then life goes on and on, and
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I didn't really know straight away that I wanted to dedicate the next chapter of my life to coaching and working with others. Straight away, that wasn't like a light bulb moment, It took time. It was a process. And I certainly didn't go from one day to the next with a business and then without a business. That also took time, and there was plenty of inner negotiations and questions going on, a bit of back and forth, and for sure. But what I did do is I kind of did it in stages. I did it slowly, so I still kept myself in the business, and I started to explore these interests and passions in my spare time, So I think that's also one thing worth mentioning, like our passion and our purpose, we don't have to know straight away, but there's nothing that doesn't stop us finding out, right? There's 24 hours in the day, and maybe we spend 8 of them working to bring the money in to fulfill that role and to contribute to the family and whatnot. Which many men out there who are listening might be thinking, well, yeah, that is important. I need to continue to do that, and I don't want to give up my day job. But I'm interested in what you're saying here. I'm interested in a purpose and a passion, and I do have a couple of ideas, or maybe I need to search that a little bit more. But yeah, you can start really small. So for me, that looked like an opportunity came up to volunteer in a voluntary role at Grief Support Services here in Tauranga. It was volunteer, so there was no money. It was just my time, a little bit of training that went into it. But I thought, wow, this could be a really interesting stepping stone, and also like a bit of um, a, a soft launch, if you like, of what it's like to be in the service of others and really be in the service of others without expecting anything in return. So there was no exchange of money, and that really appealed to me because I thought, for several reasons, I think it's a great thing to be able to volunteer. I would recommend everyone experience that in some capacity, even if it's helping the little old lady with her groceries every week, or I don't know, whatever it is. But it was also an opportunity for me to just test the waters a little bit and see, well, do I actually like this? Am I going to be any good at it? And it was peer support. So it was working alongside people that were recovering from bereavement, from suicide. I still do this role a couple of years on, and but the important thing is that I didn't have to throw it all in and make that knee-jerk reaction of like, okay, so the business is gone, tell the wife and kids, life as we know it is changing overnight. It was a gradual process, and it was I think a little easier for that. And fundamentally, I realized, yeah, I love this. Yeah, I'm good at this. I can see myself doing this for the rest of my life. And then I think the vision and the dream, that was the bigger overarching thing, sort of evolved from there.
That's cool. And what would you say? Is that what you will say to another man about? Is that your answer, or you could?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think that would be definitely something I would say, because the reality is, I think for a lot of us living in today's world, is that it is very uncertain, financially more than anything. I think we're going through very difficult times, particularly in New Zealand. It's not a secret that the country is, sort of on the fringes of a recession, and no one really knows when that's going to sort of adjust again, and things are tight, right? The supermarket, that you go to the supermarket, things that cost you X amount of money now cost you a little bit more. And then, it's kind of like, well, I'll just wait until X, Y, or Z happens before I decide to, pursue this idea or this passion or this interest. But don't wait, because there will always be something that stops you. Really, like you said, the factor that's stopping you is your own internal noise. So just be mindful of that as a valid thing, right? We're all kind of conditioned to live a certain way and to fulfill a certain role. And I think particularly for men, it's difficult because we need to be seen as the breadwinner, right? And those traditional kind of patriarchal roles, and challenge that too, because why?
Mm-hmm.
Whose story is that's the way it needs to be, and I think you really start to know and understand a different version of life when you start to really connect with those things that bring you joy, and bring you a sense of purpose. And funnily enough, if you are still doing your day job, like I'm going to the kõrero lounge a couple of days a week to keep the bills rolling in. I'm also studying. I'm doing volunteer work. So if you've still got those other things going on, but your main thing is kind of this, so for me it's coaching. This is my thing. If you find that thing, you can still have that thing and everything else. It's like it sort of expands you as an individual. You find out a little bit more about yourself, and maybe you that feeling of sort of hollowness or unfulfillment, or is this it? Is this people might call that a midlife crisis. Well, I call it a midlife revolution. It's like, if you're experiencing those things, then it's more than likely life is trying to show you that there's something else for you. What is that thing? Just be brave enough to explore. You don't have to give up your day job just yet. Just dive in and be open to it, because there's some real treasure there.
Thanks for listening to What No One Told Us. If anything in today's episode landed with you, stirred something, or made you feel seen, we are glad you're here. Lloyd and Diego are always open to connecting, and you'll find links to reach out, follow along, or learn more in the show notes. If you are enjoying the podcast, make sure you hit subscribe on Spotify and follow us on Instagram and Facebook to stay connected between episodes. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other.